Every time your income goes up, somehow your bank account stays almost exactly the same. Think about that for a moment. You work hard, you earn the raise. Maybe you're making more money than you ever thought you would. For a little while, it feels different. You finally relax. You tell yourself, this is it. Things are finally getting easier. But then, something strange happens. The apartment gets a little more expensive. The car payment gets a little bigger. Ordering food becomes more normal. A few new subscriptions quietly appear. And before you even realize it, you're earning more than ever. But you don't actually feel richer. You just have more expenses, more monthly payments, and somehow the same financial pressure. So, what happened? Why does earning more money so often create a more expensive version of the same life? The answer isn't that you're lazy. It isn't that you're bad with money, and it isn't because you're making reckless decisions. The real reason is much quieter than that. The moment your income increases, your brain quietly changes what normal feels like. And once your definition of normal changes, your spending begins to change with it, usually without you even noticing. That's how the trap begins, not with one huge mistake, but with dozens of small decisions that all feel perfectly reasonable. Imagine you receive a raise that adds $800 to your monthly paycheck. At first, it feels like a huge opportunity. You start imagining everything that extra money could do. You could finally build an emergency fund, pay off debt faster, start investing consistently, or stop worrying every time life throws an unexpected expense your way. Then, real life takes over. A slightly nicer apartment suddenly feels reasonable. It's only a little more each month. A newer car feels justified. After all, you're making more now. You eat out a little more often. You stop checking prices as carefully. Weekend plans become easier to say yes to. None of those decisions feels irresponsible. That's exactly why they're so dangerous, because there isn't one moment where you decide, I'm going to waste this entire raise. Instead, there are 20 small decisions. Each one feels harmless. Each one feels deserved. And by the end of the month, the extra money is gone. Not because of one terrible choice, but because your lifestyle quietly expanded until it filled every dollar your raise created. Psychologists have a name for what happens next. It's called hedonic adaptation. And it may be one of the most expensive habits your brain has, without you ever realizing it. Here's how it works. Whenever your life improves, your brain gets excited. The new apartment feels incredible. The newer car feels special. The upgraded lifestyle makes you feel like you finally moved forward. For a little while, everything feels better. But your brain adapts surprisingly fast. The apartment that once felt luxurious becomes just your apartment. The car that made you smile every morning becomes the car you drive to work. The expensive coffee becomes part of your normal routine. What once felt like a reward slowly becomes an expectation. And that's where the real problem begins, because once something becomes normal, your brain stops appreciating it. Instead, it quietly starts looking for the next upgrade. A bigger place, a nicer neighborhood, a newer phone, a better version of everything you already have. The finish line moves without asking your permission, and suddenly, the raise that was supposed to give you freedom is simply paying for a more expensive version of your everyday life. But there's something even deeper happening. Your brain doesn't just ask, can I afford this? It asks something much more powerful. What does this say about me? This is called identity spending, and it's one of the strongest psychological forces behind lifestyle inflation, because many purchases aren't really about the product. They're about the person you believe you're becoming. A nicer neighborhood feels like success. A luxury watch feels like achievement. A new car feels like proof that you finally made it without realizing it. You're not just buying things, you're buying an identity, the successful version of yourself, the version that appears to have everything under control. And once your brain connects that identity to a certain lifestyle, it becomes incredibly difficult to step backwards. Cutting expenses no longer feels like saving money. It feels like losing part of who you are, even when those expenses are quietly holding you back. Then another force enters the picture, and it makes everything even harder. Comparison. A coworker buys a Tesla. A friend posts vacation photos from Italy. Someone in your neighborhood remodels their kitchen. Your brain notices every single one. Not because you're jealous, because that's exactly what human brains evolved to do. For thousands of years, understanding where you stood inside your group helped you survive. Today, that same instinct is still running. The only difference is that now you're comparing yourself to carefully edited social media highlights, financed lifestyles, and people whose financial reality you never actually see. You aren't comparing your real life to someone else's real life. You're comparing your everyday reality to their best moments. And sometimes you're comparing your savings account to someone else's debt. That's how the trap spreads. Everyone tries to look successful. Everyone assumes everyone else is doing better. And almost nobody realizes they're all running on the same treadmill. Now, here's the uncomfortable truth. A raise doesn't automatically create wealth. It simply gives your existing habits more money to work with. If your habit is spending every extra dollar, a bigger paycheck simply allows you to spend more. If your habit is using shopping to relieve stress, more income gives you more expensive ways to cope. And if your habit is comparing yourself to everyone around you, a raise simply moves you into a more expensive comparison game. That's why earning more doesn't always mean building more. Sometimes it just hides the same old financial patterns behind a bigger paycheck. The people who build real wealth think differently. When their income goes up, they don't immediately ask, "What can I upgrade?" They ask, "What can I invest?" Before lifestyle, they choose ownership. Before bigger expenses, they choose bigger assets. Some of that raise goes into investments. Some strengthens an emergency fund. Some pays down debt. And yes, they still enjoy part of it, because building wealth isn't about never spending money. It's about making sure your future gets paid before your lifestyle does. Imagine your raise gives you an extra $800 each month. Instead of letting all of it disappear, you decide in advance where every dollar belongs. Maybe 200 improves your lifestyle. Another 200 strengthens your financial safety, and the remaining 400 starts building investments that can grow for years. The exact numbers don't matter. The principle does. Give every raise a job before your lifestyle quietly hires it. Because once that money reaches your checking account, your brain immediately sees it as available, and money that feels available usually finds a way to disappear. The next time your income increases, pause just for a moment. Instead of asking, "What can I buy?" ask yourself, "What can this money become?" Maybe it becomes financial freedom. Maybe it becomes peace of mind. Maybe it becomes the ability to leave a job you no longer enjoy. Maybe it becomes choices, because that's what money is really supposed to buy. Not bigger monthly payments, not a more expensive routine. Real freedom, more control over your time, more flexibility, and fewer financial emergencies keeping you awake at night. Here's one question worth asking before every lifestyle upgrade. Is this improving my life, or simply becoming my new normal? That single question changes everything, because not every upgrade is a mistake. A safer car may genuinely improve your life. A better home may be the right decision for your family. Travel may create memories you'll value forever. The goal isn't to avoid spending. The goal is to spend intentionally instead of automatically. Every raise gives you two choices. You can upgrade your lifestyle, or you can upgrade your future. One makes you look wealthier today. The other quietly makes you wealthier tomorrow. One creates another monthly expense. The other creates another financial opportunity. And those choices, repeated year after year, shape completely different lives. So if your income keeps increasing, but your bank account never seems to move, don't immediately assume you need another raise. Instead, look at what your brain has started calling normal. Look at the expenses that slowly became permanent. Look at the habits that quietly expanded with every paycheck, because the biggest financial trap is rarely one expensive purchase. It's a lifestyle that grows so gradually, you never notice how much it's costing you. The next time your income goes up, don't just say, "I got a raise." Say, "I just gained more investing power." Then give that money a purpose before your lifestyle gives it one. Because 10 years from now, your financial future won't be defined by how many raises you received. It will be defined by what you chose to do with the very first one. If this changed the way you think about money, subscribe for more videos on wealth psychology, the hidden habits that quietly keep people stuck, and the small mindset shifts that build lasting financial freedom. Because real wealth doesn't always begin with earning more. Sometimes it begins by refusing to let more money quietly disappear.